So I'm home, I'm playing my game, I'm playing Madden or whatever like that. I'm in this little tournament or whatever like that. And I didn't go to work that day. So I get a phone call. But the phone call looked like Dick's Sporting Goods. So I'm thinking Dick's is calling me to come in. I said, I ain't going. Like, this is my off day, I'm not going in. So then I get a text from that same number saying, hey, your dad just passed away today.
I'm from a beautiful place, the Pearl of Africa. Hailing with a 256, it's in my blood. That's a gem where the mountains rise, with stories untold. The tapestry of cultures unfolding, so vibrant and bold. A symphony of stars, a celestial light. The drums beating, echoing through the night, just like a beacon of light. A reflection that's coming up from the Nile. I'm flowing straight into the heart of Africa, with timeless stories untold. What's up, Doug?
Welcome once again to the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. This is my podcast where I like to bring friends, families, famous people, regular people, anybody that want to come on this podcast to share or speak, talk to the people. We laugh, we talk some serious stuff. And the way I do my podcast is sometimes I'll get people to drop in my house where my studio is at, in my basement, the man cave. And some of these friends, people I went to school with, I've known ever since I've lived in America. So my journey has had a lot of people. And one of these people is Marie. We went to college together. He's going to tell us a lot about that. And we're going to dive into his life, his business right now that he's doing, booming, cool stuff, cool content creation. He's a content creator, but we have a history from college. So Marie, welcome to my podcast, brother.
Appreciate you having me here, man. Appreciate you having me here.
This has been like a long time coming. I was looking at my phone like when we texted about doing the podcast. It's probably like a year.
Man, yeah.
And we've tried to get it recorded, and some things doesn't work out, but I'm glad I worked out today. So I knew you by Marie.
Right.
But I don't know your full name, like Demari Reid. We talked about, I remember when I was in college, the first time I talked to you, and I still remember the story. You're telling me you're from Florida, you have two little brothers. But
actually three.
Three? Oh, really? Oh, yeah. And then you're telling me about that. But what's your full name?
My full name is Demari Robert Reid. Robert Reid is my dad's name.
Okay.
So my dad basically named me after him, but I put in the junior just with the middle name, last name type of combo.
So I met you at Great Lakes. I think you were, I was leaving and then you were starting.
Yeah, I was a freshman, you was a senior. So
we didn't really get to spend a lot of time together, but for the short time that I got to know you, because I worked in the kitchen, the cafeteria.
Right.
You were playing basketball.
Yeah.
Is there anything you remember at Great Lakes in your life or when I was there? Because I remember we never even played soccer together. You played the year after I was done. Yeah. How was that like?
So so I actually was talking about this story last night with some basketball guys.
Yeah.
The basketball guys, their opinion on it, they really hated the fact that I chose to play soccer.
Okay.
Because my freshman year, I was I had such an upside, such a great motor, and I was able to do a lot of things on the court. And people previewed me as the future, you know, and then, but me being myself, people think that other people influenced me to do it.
Yeah.
But honestly, I've just always been a very open person.
Yeah.
I always been, I played volleyball in high school.
Okay.
And most people don't even know that men's even had a volleyball team in my area. So I was always open to try new things, stuff like that. And I went to a soccer game. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. I was so pissed off watching the game. And I was like, bro, I feel like I could play this.
Yeah.
And that's because of that, simple confidence. I'm like, man, I'm going to play.
Actually, now when you say that, I remember you worked at one of our games when I was playing.
I was a ball boy.
Yeah, you were a ball boy on the side. And I remember that when we were playing, my year wasn't very good. But then the year after that, you started playing. Yeah. That brings a lot of memories because even when I was in... when we were playing, we had Jay, all the basketball guys. The one funny thing I remember was these basketball guys, they didn't have soccer cleats. They just showed up with their basketball shoes and they just play the J Queens and Isaiah. They just showed up with their basketball Nikes and they just started playing, and
That's
it was
crazy.
fun. It was really fun. But yeah, I thought it's good to be open minded, and I watched a few games of that you did. But at some point you left Great Lakes
I
and you
did.
went to Tennessee,
I went to Missouri.
Missouri. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What made you want to do that decision to do?
So like my journey at Great Lakes was like freshman year, I was like the promising future, and then I went from JV to varsity, and then the second year I started off on varsity, and then COVID came around. I tried to play soccer. No, COVID actually hit us my freshman year at nationals. We were in warm-ups, and COVID, they came to announcements at the school I ended up transferring to, and it was like, man, if you're here to play, I'm sorry, but the season's over, like due to COVID-19. And then the second year came around, I was started off on varsity, and then I actually did choose to play soccer, try to do both, wasn't in the gym. I ended up falling off, ended up going back to JV. And my third year, I started off on JV. And then I think I had a very solid season, enough to get filmed. And then at that point, the fourth year came around, and I was like, man, like mentally, like I was depressed. I was out of it. A lot of it being because of myself. Like as I grow and mature and look back at the journey that I did go down, a lot of the things that happened to my career was because of me. Like, I don't blame coaches. I don't blame anybody else. Like it was solely on me because I had opportunity, because at a point in time they did, like my name was in the conversation, and I chose to do other things. And it just got to a point where I ended up getting my associate's degree that third year. And
was this at Great Lakes or Missouri?
At Great Lakes.
Okay.
Because, you know, like at Great Lakes, you have to take those mandatory classes to get a certain degree. So at that point, I was at graduation, and I owed Great Lakes money.
Yeah.
Right. I owed them probably a little bit over, like maybe around $3,000-$4,000 range. And, you know, like as a transfer or even as a graduate, like you can't get your diploma and you can't get your official transcripts unless you have your bill paid off underneath a certain amount. And this is when I started realizing, like, okay, you know, God has me. So at that point, I think it was Cindy. She sent the email. She was like, man, whatever institution, seminary you want to go to next, put it on this paper, send it to us, and we'll send the official transcript to that location. Yeah. I guess they didn't see that I had a bill off, and they sent out a transcript to Ozark Christian College. So then one of my good guys, Alex, he went, you know, going to Johnson, Florida. He came to Great Lakes with me. And then I was like, man, I might want to go somewhere near home. So then I tried to send a transcript to Johnson, Florida, and they sent me my invoice to me saying, you can't do that. You got to pay off your bill.
From Great Lakes? The invoice, okay.
From Great Lakes. So now sitting in front of me, like I'm home, I'm so much anxiety, so depressed. I'm like, bro, I can't go back to Great Lakes. So I'm like, man, it's either I go home and stay home, I go back to Great Lakes where I said I wasn't going to be at, or I go to Ozark Christian College. And the best option out of that was to go to Ozark. Yeah. And honestly, when I went to Ozark, that was probably one of the best decisions in my life when it came to me growing in faith. Okay. Like, I didn't make that decision to grow into faith. That's how I didn't make the decision to go to Great Lakes to grow into faith. I went to play basketball, right? Like, young kid from Florida, from Miami, Florida, inner city. And I just wanted to get out, and they gave me an opportunity to. And then just so happened while I was there, I grew in faith. Then at Ozark, I met some great guys, like to this day. My captain was the one who baptized me. Oh, nice. He baptized me in Arlington, Texas. And around, I don't remember what day, I think it was like December 13th or something like that. And after that, like that's when I started growing, getting favorite songs and stuff like that. Like the first song I latched on to was Promises by Maverick City. Yeah. Yeah, and I like that song. I sung that song like over and over and over again when I woke up, when I took a shower, when I went to sleep. Like Promises really like carried me that year, and based on everything I had going on. So yeah, that's why I went to Ozark. That's crazy.
Because I was friends with you on social media, so kind of just watch your journey there, and even going back where you're talking about playing basketball when Coach Rich was still there, your journey. I didn't know much about basketball because I was playing soccer, but like I would watch your games. You come in, play here and there, and it was like on the peak, it was going great, and like just watching your journey. And even when we planned to do this podcast, when you told me the things you wanted to talk about,
Yeah.
your plan, God's plan in your life, and I still remember when you texted me that mental health and all that stuff. And this is a conversation. Like I like this because it's like a therapy for me. Like you get to talk about things. Maybe people out there who are listening to get to help out somebody who might be in the same situation you're going through. But I would go into, you touched something about depression and being depressed,
Yeah.
which you talked about like your mental health journey. How was your journey with mental health? Like, how has that shaped you in understanding yourself and your faith?
So I realized that my mental health was declining, and like when COVID came around the second time, I was in my room. I had 3 roommates, me, Ro, and Larry. And Larry lived in Flint, so he went home. So now it's just me and just sitting looking at 4 white walls. And we had Zoom classes with Lloyd.
Oh yeah.
So like that was nothing pleasant. And like my GPA was dropping. I wasn't playing basketball. Like it was just like I was really in my own head, like, why am I here? Like I felt like I was falling behind, not realizing that everybody's falling behind. Like it's not like I'm just stuck in the room and everybody around me is able to just live life. But as I mature looking back at it, I didn't view it like that. Like I felt like I was behind, and I was just, what, COVID happened in 2020?
Yeah,
I was 20 years old.
2020, yeah.
I was 20 years old. Like looking back at it, like think like, dang. But in the moment in time, you don't think that way. You think like, man, I'm a million miles away from, I'm in Lansing, Michigan at Great Lakes Christian College. People up the street don't even know what Great Lakes is. And I'm from Miami, Florida, with this big town and stuff like that. And I'm just like, man, like, what am I doing in my life? Like, what am I doing? So then time moves forward, and, you know, I gained some relations with people, gained and lost some. And like, as I went home, like after I left Ozark, I went home and my dad passed. That story was crazy. Like I'll dive into it real quick, because actually that's how I knew like God is like watching me. So I went home after I left Ozark. So I left Ozark Christian College because I felt like I wasn't going to be able to pay off my bill in order to enroll a second semester. So I ended up going home, and then a couple weeks later I get an envelope showing me that I got a scholarship that I can. But at that point, I was already home. So I already picked up a 9-to-5 working at Dick's Sporting Goods. And when I got on that Dick's Sporting Goods, I got this spirit upon me saying that, man, you're going to see your dad before you leave here. Because I already had the plan to go back to school. But I just needed to do something in the meantime, because I can't just jump to a school in the middle of a semester. So as that time moves forward, I'm working at Dick's part-time in the shoot department. And it's hectic, dealing with a lot of Hispanic people. They speaking Spanish to me. I'm learning Spanish. Cataya, what size? Like, so then one day I had like 3 boxes of shoes in my hands, and I'm leaving from the back to come onto the footwear deck to give the shoes out. Now mine, I work part-time. I could have been on break. I could have been in the back grabbing shoes. I could have been talking to my boss. I could have been home. Anything else, or just looking somewhere else. But where I walked out to, I seen this person who looked very familiar walking past me. And I'm like, is that my father? Like, is that my dad? So I go up, he was going into the NFL section. I guess he was getting like NFL, NBA. Like,
did he know you worked there?
He didn't know I worked there.
Okay.
So that's a very important fact, that he did not know I worked there. I haven't talked to him in like a year.
Okay.
So then he walks past, and I'm like, no way. So I go up to him. I was like, well. He's like, well. I'm like, man, I'm trying to get in contact with you, man. Like, what's up? He was like, have you called me?
Yeah.
I was like, nah, I've been texting you though. He said, about your dad, have you called me? So I was like, me being me, I'm like, man, whatever. So then, but just so happened that I was getting off in the next 20 minutes. So I was like, hey, would you, because Ubers in Miami are, especially when it's raining, it's like $30.
Oh, wow.
So that's like half of your day of work at a regular 9 to 5. So then he was like, yeah, I'll take you home. So he took me home, and I updated him about like my life, my relations with people, what died off, what stayed on, and stuff like that. What's my plan next? And it was honestly the best conversation I ever had with him in my life. Like, if I actually felt it in my soul, because he told me, he was like, man, Mari, he like, man, son, I'm back closer with God more than I ever been.
Your
like,
dad was saying that?
Yeah, like I've never talked to him about religion.
Yeah.
Ever in my life. Like, and he brought it up. So I'm like, while simultaneously I'm doing the same thing. So I'm like, man. And he told me, he said, this is not the last time you're gonna ever feel like you're so close to something, but yet so far. Right? He never showed any signs of health declining or anything like that. So a couple weeks later, you know, I don't save phone numbers.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I save a couple.
Even your dad's?
Even my dad's, yeah. Like my dad, my mom, my sister, and like people I've known for like a long, long time. But like, example, like if you're from a certain area code and you're the only person from that area code that texts me or contacts me a lot, I don't save the number for a long time because I know it's you.
Okay.
That makes sense?
That's an excuse. I know Q did that too. Q doesn't save for number. I had a fight with him for a long time. He hadn't saved my number in his phone for a long time. But no, it's good. Like, you explain that.
Right. That's part of the excuse. Other half, honestly, I'm just lazy.
Yeah.
So I just click it, look at the old messages. I'm like, oh, this is Bonnie.
Okay.
Or something like that, you know? So I'm home, I'm playing my game, I'm playing Madden or whatever like that. I'm in this little tournament or whatever like that. And I didn't go to work that day. So I get a phone call. But the phone call looked like Dick's Sporting Goods. So I'm thinking Dick's is calling me to come in. I said, I ain't going. Like, this is my off day. I'm not going in. So then I get a text from that same number saying, hey, your dad just passed away today. So I'm playing my game. I'm like, yo, y'all boys, like, I just got this text saying that my dad just died. Everybody like, whoa, what? Like, stop the game. I'm like, nah, keep playing. Cause like, what can I really, like, I'm still mentally processing this. Like, this is so random. I just seen him. He was perfectly healthy, telling me about how he get closer with God. I'm getting this random text saying that my dad just died. Like, what? So then I had called the number after the game ended and nobody answered. So I'm like, bro, what? So now I'm like, I'm calling my mom. She don't answer the phone. I'm calling my sister. She doesn't answer the phone. I call my uncle, who's like across the street chilling with his guys. And he answered the phone. He's telling me he don't know what to say. Like, and I'm not mad at him because like, what can you say for real? So then my mom ended up finally coming home, picking up my brothers from aftercare. And I called his phone. She was like, did you call his number? I was like, nah. So like, I'm calling his phone and emotionally, like, I'm like, man, pick up the phone. Like, pick up the phone, bro. Like, so all this can end. Like, I just know, like, all right, somebody trying to prank me or something, like, but he's not answering the phone. It's ringing 4 times and then it's hanging up. Call it again, 4 times, hanging up. So I'm like, all right. So now we're getting concerned. We're like, dang, did somebody do something to him? Like, what's going on for real? So then I end up getting in contact with a relative way down the line. Like, come to find out, one of my neighbors is like married. Is related to me through marriage. They moved away, but I have their Instagram. So I text him like, hey, bro, what's your number? And he gave me his mom's number, and then his mom called me, and then she confirmed it. So I'm like, dang. I didn't cry. Like, you know, everybody grieved differently. Yeah. And I didn't cry. And eventually kind of find out it was, like I say, they confirmed it and it was true. And then I was kind of frozen. So I didn't cry until like that night. It just hit me like, dang, like he's gone. Like, me and my dad, my mom, like, it was all like, they were separated, but there was no beef. Like, I was never like, man, I don't like him. Like, don't get around me. Like, it was never no beef. Like, if I had to call him and I needed something, like, he was there. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, we just didn't live together. That's all it was. So, so that hit me hard that night. My mom came and she hugged me. And that was the first time in a long time I cried on my mom's shoulders. Yeah. Like, that was the first time I actually felt like a kid again. Because once my mom had my triplet brothers at 47, when I was 14 years old, I declared myself as an adult. Okay. Like, I told myself, like, Like, she didn't tell me to be that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she was always there for me. But I told myself, like, you're not going to deal with 3 little boys at 47 and not have to worry about me too.
Right.
So I just went out and I just used everything she taught me, how to get around, because Miami has a transit system, a very good one. So train, bus combination, walking, bike, anywhere possible that I don't have to bother her.
Yeah.
Let her focus up, and I'll help at home from time to time, but don't have to worry about me. I worked over the summer. I bought my own uniforms for school. Like, everything. I told her, like, you ain't got to worry about nothing for real. So ever since then, like, I was never used to crying to her, nothing that. So, but when I was 21 or 22, I forgot when it happened. It was like 2 years ago. Like, I cried on her shoulders. And I felt like a 10-year-old boy again, and it was so foreign to me, but it was natural because, you know, she's my mom. Yeah. Right. So then, time moves forward, and the funeral happens. You know, like, that process. I've never been to a funeral ever.
Did they ever find out what he died of?
They apparently. So my dad doesn't miss a day at work. Okay. So, which is why I don't miss a day at work. Like, I just take everything I learned from him. Yeah. And apparently, it that alarmed the job. So then somebody went to go check on him, and they found him, like, in his bed or on the floor or something, like, reaching, trying to get his phone. I guess he had a heart attack. I think the cause of death was a heart attack. And yeah, it was weird because, like, last time I worked out with him, he was working out harder than me. Yeah, he was getting on me. He was like, "See, man, this new generation, y'all always on y'all phones. Man, I need to work out." I'm like, I couldn't get mad because he was right. Like, I would work out a little bit, get on my phone, work out a little bit. Me, whole time he back there running, jogging, going however fast he can, like, really putting in the work in. So so time moves forward. I think I was going to the funeral. Yeah, the funeral the viewing happens, and, like, I had already got my tears out, and I never cried about it again. But you could tell that the rest of the family around him didn't grieve yet. Right. So I'm sitting next to his, you know, casket and the viewing, and the rest of the family. I think he had 3 brothers, and they were beefing since they were younger over. And I asked family members about it, and they all said, "It's honestly, son, it's stupid." And they're all saying the good ones always go first. Like, why was it him? He was the good one, down the third. And, you know, everybody was just grieving. And I'm sitting there just watching it all, like, dang, like, people really loved him. Yeah. You know, like, people really loved him. And I look across the hall in the funeral home, and I see another person, and they had nobody. Like, they probably had one person. And I was like, dang, like, who you are during life and the relations you make during life matters. Yeah. You know, and I'm not saying that person wasn't across the hall wasn't a good person, but it's like, the more people you make relations to, the more people give you and you do the good thing about them, the good people will give you your flowers in the end.
And that's the same way it is from where I come from in Uganda. People know you're a good person, but the amount of people that come to your funeral, or people who come to your, if you're a terrible person, nobody's gonna show up for you. But, like, when somebody's, like, has been nice to the people, then you have a ton of people coming to, like, be with your family in the time and celebrate or, like, help you out. But I mean, I can't imagine that, and having to deal with school, COVID, and then the loss of your loved one and your family. Definitely, that's a one cause of, like, I can see how that can cause, like, mental health and depression in one's life. Did you ever get to play basketball again after Ozark?
Yes. So the reason why I went back to Great Lakes was because when I skipped this part in that. When me and him talked in the car, and he told me about God, I told him my plans, and my plans was to get my degree and finish my last year of basketball. Like, so after that happened, I'm like, man, nah, I gotta do it. So then, at this point now, Kess is the coach. Yeah, he was my teammate. He was my teammate when I was a freshman. He was a senior.
I remember Kess. Yeah,
and now he was the head coach. He was going into his first year, and then he was my JV coach my 3rd year. So I just played for him, whatever like that. And I called him up. I was like, yo, like, what's up? What's the word? Like, I need a place to finish my senior year. And then he was like, come on, like, let's do it. Let's rock out. Yeah. And then at that point, I had committed. and then I had to pay off
The
4,000. So the money. So quick lesson: you cannot run from nothing. Like it will always catch up to you in the end. I swear.
Shout out to Q. Q knows that line better.
So I had to pay off my bill to end up re-enrolling, but my dad blessed me with some money to allow me to do that. You know, from his passing, and so I ended up using some of that to pay off my school bill to get back into re-enrolling in the school. And I came back, and then that senior year was my senior year.
That's amazing, and it's great, like, to see how things work. One of my favorite verses in the Bible, like, is Proverbs 16:9. It says, like, we make plans, but God determines our steps. So, like, there's some things you might want to do. You feel like, okay, this is the right thing for me, but that is not gonna end up working, and God will make sure you go back on track to where He wants you to go. And you can just see that in your journey and how things have been working out. But on that topic of mental health and stuff you talked to us about your dad, like, what advice would you give to someone who's struggling to reconcile with family issues and also, like, dealing with mental health? What's something you can tell somebody who is going through that right now?
You only get one. You only get one life. You only get one dad. You only get one mom. Like, you only get one brother, unless you have multiple siblings, but you only get one of that person, you know? And if you really think about it, a lot of times, like, what we're beefing or arguing about, you really got to think, like, is it really that deep? Or is it just our pride in a way? Because a lot of times, like, I'm not really a prideful person. Like, I know when to say, like, you know what, you're right. You know, but a lot of people, especially in this day and age, don't have that ability to have, what is the word, humility?
Yeah.
Don't have humility enough to let their pride aside and be like, man, you know what, you was right, I was wrong. Or even if just agree to disagree, you know, how things were said came off wrong, like, but I feel like what we have in our history and our relation is bigger than what we're arguing about right now. And I feel like the more people understand that, and the easier it will become to reconcile, and the less heavy on your heart it would be. Because once I've realized, like, I don't have no enemies. Like, mainly because, like, one, I don't put myself in a position to have one, and two, I always blame myself. I know people are like, what?
Yeah.
But, like, this is why, like, when I say that, I mean, and it can help for anyone. You could choose to go about this advice or not. It's just advice. But I always blame myself, right? Like, I tell myself, like, somebody will do something to me, right? But then I'd be like, man, I blame myself because I allowed myself to be in that position for that to happen. And then when you view it like that and put it all on yourself, you're able to move on better. Because now you take it as a learning experience. Like, you're not viewing it as, why would you do that to me?
Right.
Instead of, thank you for doing that to me. Now I understand. Now I learn. And then after that, you can decide whether or not you want to reconcile with that person or not.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I kind of go about that.
I like that, because I think that's how I am. But some people view that as a weak spot, like, when they see you like that. So, like, one person was telling me, why are you over apologizing? Like, I want you to, like, fight back or, like, say something back, which I'm not. Like, for me, like, if we're into an argument, I'm not arguing to win. I'm arguing to understand. Like,
Right.
I want to be better. And if I admit that, okay, I didn't see the way you saw it, I'm gonna say, okay, I'm sorry. But a lot of people see that as a weakness, like, oh, you over apologizing, you don't stand for yourself, fight or something. I cannot have time for that. So, like, it helps me reconcile with people, and, like you said, I don't put myself in that position to have enemies. And I believe I don't have enemies. I have people who don't like me or who don't like the way I do things. But the best I can do with that is to avoid that to happen. If somebody doesn't want to talk to me, I'll talk to you. But if you still don't want to talk to me, then I'll just let it be, you know?
Right.
But if that same person one day wakes up and is like, hey, I want to have a conversation with you, I'm open to it. Like, no matter what happened or we didn't talk for years, I'm open to that. But I like that advice, and hopefully somebody out there that will be helpful for them. So you mentioned you come back to Great Lakes. You play your senior year. How did that go?
So my senior year, Man, I was just talking about this last night, and with Coach Rich, I talk about it all the time with Kes and other people and stuff like that, because my senior year was controversial, because ever since so Kes viewed me like, once he's seen me my freshman year, he always maintained that image of me throughout, no matter how old I became. Yeah. And one thing I learned was, like, I used to joke. I used to be the jokey. I'm still a jokey guy. Like, I'm a troll. I'm the biggest troll. Yeah. So I used to troll the seniors because of how long they took to get ready for practice, how much ice they use after practice. Jay using his heating pad for his groins. Like, I used to be like, dude, get up. Yeah. Right? Their knees and stuff like that. And I was, 19 playing with 23, 24-year-olds. Yeah. It's a 5-year difference. I'm fresh. I'm good. Yeah. Hey, time waits on no man. They tell me this all the time, and you heard it from me here. I'm sorry. Yeah. Like, time moved forward, and like, my knees weren't the same. Like, I wasn't moving the same. I mean, once I got warm, like, I was able to do it, but like, I hurt my knee after dunking the first day of practice. I landed and I couldn't even finish the drill. And I was battling with that for the rest of the year. And I never really complained about it too much for it, because everybody going through something. Right. But it was just to the point where it's like, it was a type of injury where it didn't favor the role that I played on the team. Like, I was like the 8th, 9th man off the bench. Yeah. And it was like, you're not coming into the game maybe at least until like maybe the 6-minute mark in the first half. And that's a long time. Like, it's 12 minutes in basketball time, which is probably like 25 minutes, 30 minutes in real time, depending on how the game is going. And once your number's called, like, your coach is expecting you to be able to get up and go. I couldn't do it. It was so hard. It was very hard for me to get up and go. There's pictures out there that Braden, shout out to Capital City Sports, that's my guy. He's capturing me. I think I posted one of my story the other day of me like sitting down but stretching my knees because like they felt like they needed WD-40 or something. Like, it was bad. Like, and like trying to just get up. I'm a guy that guard 94 feet. Yeah. Because like, I have to have intangibles to get playing time. And one of the ones I had was I was able to guard full court and actually get steals and stuff like that. And the longer the game went on, the less able I was to do that. So as time moves on, like, like college, like it's a business, honestly. Like, coaches say all the time, my coach said the other day, like, it's a business. Like, it's either you can help me or you can't on the court. Outside the court, we love you as a person. I'm here for you all the time. But on the court, we're trying to win. Yeah. Right? And was I able to help the team win? In some instances, yes, but in most instances, no. Yeah. So as time moves forward, like, my play time went down and down and down and down and down. And I remember the last time I got in the game was Simmons. It was Simmons. I got in, got to pick up a quick foul. Then the second foul, actually, little Q was right there. Yeah. And it was a clean rip, and even said, and then the ref called the second foul, and Kes took me out. Even Q was like, that was clean. Yeah. But at that point, I knew, like, you ever just know when something is just over. Like, I knew that was the last time that I was ever going to get like a chance, and at that point, it was over with.
Damn. Is there anything like you regret about? I'm a person who doesn't like regrets. I respect everything, how it plays out in my life. But is there anything you regret in your basketball career, college career, that you wish you had done different?
I do not regret the relations I gained with people with the decisions I made. Yeah. Like, some of the decisions I made, I gained some lifelong relations with some people. Right? But if I had to regret something, it would definitely be probably either playing soccer, if I was just for purely basketball, playing soccer, or playing soccer but not getting in the gym when you're off time while you're doing it. Because like, after I was new to the sport, so after games, like, I would pick up things with my hands, but my hands were shaking because you're only using your bottom half of your body. Right. So it's like, I'm running, but like, I'm used to running and catching things, like catching ball. Wait, pause. Catching a basketball or doing things of that nature. But now it's like I'm not used to that. So it's like when I was the times I was like get back in the gym to practice, like it would be foreign to me. And like I regret like probably not putting in the work on my off time, using my off time to do different things that wasn't a part of the game that I was there to play. Yeah. And other than that, that's probably it.
Do you think the coaches looked at that in a bad way, that you're giving time to soccer and you're not giving time to basketball?
1,000%. Yeah. I talked to Coach Rich last night. And we're honest, like me and Coach Rich and Coach Kess, like we're so honest with each other. And like I talked to him, he was like, he said, man, Demari, this is how he talks. Yeah. Man, Demari, you chose to play soccer. And then he was like, we had you next up, kid. We were saying we have Demari coming up. Like, and Kess said the same. Kess don't even want to talk about it. Yeah. He was like, man, I don't want to talk about it. Cause he was, I wore his number. He wore 2 and I had, the next year I had 2. Yeah. He texted me, he was like, man, shorty, you got 2. You got to rock out with my number on. Yeah. No, it didn't go that way. So that's probably it for real. That's probably it.
No, it was good to see you coming back again on the team, on like stuff. I think you do the content and video. Yeah. And that is going to lead us to what inspired the creation of SmooveFilmz. SmooveFilmz, and how the business like evolved over years. You were doing it outside of basketball because you're doing like one of the church, River's Edge. Right. You were doing there's one clip you did downtown Lansing. I think it was a community service. There was a lot of like clips. You did a movie for the film fest. Yeah. You're gonna talk to us about all that, but like. How did that business start? Because I'm sure that's a business that brought you back on staff as to do content for the men's basketball team now.
Correct. So it started off, it actually goes back a little more. I usually start off with me going back home after Ozark, but it actually starts off a little sooner because when all the kids who are seniors now, Dub, Slim, or Jalen Johnson, Jalen Winters, Slim, Josh, we call him Timmy. Like when they came in as freshmen, Carlo, who works for Ball His Life now, like I have a video of me recording Carlo playing. Okay. Like he was a freshman and I wasn't a varsity, so I was recording on my iPhone. Quality, terrible, trash. Yeah. And it started then, and then season started coming around. I stopped doing it like that, and then I kind of fade away from it. Then when I went home after Ozark, I went to one of my alum, like my alma mater, Marvin the Western, and we have a kid there, 5-star athlete, both sports, named Calvin Russell. They call him Gump. I think greatest under most pressure or something like that. Yeah. And he played his one game, and he played against Norland. Norland is probably known as one of the best public schools in the city. Like. And so they played them. So the gym is packed on both sides. Mine and at Northwestern, it's a football school. Teddy Bridgewater's the coach, former NFL guy. And nobody really was going to basketball games. But this one was deep, like both sides deep. So they was kind of iffy about cameras or like that, even though I didn't have one. So I put out my phone and I recorded it. The video went for 30K views. I think 20K on my page and 30K on his. No collaboration. This is before collaboration on Instagram became a thing. Yeah. So in total, 50K views, and I ended up getting paid for it too. So I'm like, whoa. So with that being said, my guy JP, shout out Team Breakdown. Team Breakdown was probably one of the best AAU programs in the state of Florida. Yeah. And growing up in high school, we dreamed to play for them, right? And he hit me up. He was like, "Yo, we're looking for a content guy. Like, hey, we need one. Like, would you want me down for it?" I said yes. Right. I didn't have a camera, nothing like that. So I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. It's on the third. So one of my guys named Ives, shout out to Ives, he gave me that camera that we're using right now, and it's a Canon EOS RP, a lower level line Canon camera. You know, Sony is the camera for video. Right. Canon is known for its picture and colors and quality for pictures. Yeah. And so he gave me that. I didn't know what I was doing. He showed me the basics and stuff like that, and I used it springtime came around and I used it for a team breakdown, and I was bad. What's crazy is the first 3 videos I made went for 10K.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, maybe I have a little something here.
Mm-hmm.
Like 10K is good for your first couple videos.
Mm-hmm.
And then the numbers dropped, whatever like that. And then as time moved forward, I started getting good.
Yeah.
Like, and better and better and better, because for basketball, it's like when you play the sport, you know what to get for real. And you can tell that's what I was trying to do. Like, look, I don't even look at my old videos.
Okay.
I be about to throw up. I be like,
That's the same thing with my podcast. Like the old ones, I appreciate where I was, but like, nah.
So now it's like the time was forward, and then I ended up getting better, right? And then after that, I ended up coming back to Great Lakes with my camera, and I started the Great Lakes documentary. Last season, I named it the Great Lakes documentary. I forgot what I named it. I'm so sorry, but it's based on Unranked. So Unranked is basically like my storytelling side on how like I basically tell, like I favor telling stories. Like I love making documentaries. I love telling people stories and just making them come to life. And that's what Unranked is. I don't really push Unranked a lot until now, because now that I'm actually recording for myself and I'm able to capture shots the way I want to capture them. Because in the previous years, shout out to Josh, shout out to Kai, shout out to Keenan from the soccer team, like they was recording for me. And Ron, shout out to Ron too. They was recording for me while I was playing, because I couldn't play and record. And that's how I was able to get the footage and stuff like that. So all hats off to them. They tried their best, but they're not camera guys, so like they didn't really know how to keep the camera steady and stuff like that. So, and shout out to Dre too. So they didn't know how to keep things steady and what to capture. So I had to kind of like finesse it, and it came out decently. So now I ended up coming back home again. If team breakdown took the summer over, like I was going crazy, and then Miami Pro League picked me up. So Miami Pro League is probably one of the top 5 pro leagues in the world. Right, and this guy named Rec, shout out to Rec. I do swipes where it's a picture, and then it's like the format Balls Life and Slam does. So it's a picture with words on it. You swipe, and it's a video behind it. So I was doing that, and like I pushed out like 9 of them in a night. Like I work super fast. Like, it doesn't really harm me. And the next time I wasn't gonna go the next day because Colin Sexton said he was gonna come to the pro league. He ended up not showing up, but I ended up going anyway. So Rex sees me. He's like, yo, he's from New York. He's like, yo, hey, come, let me talk to you. So then he talked to me. He's like, hey man, I like what you're doing. I want you with us. So I'm like, cool. Like I'm on the media staff of Miami Pro League. For me, like even now, like I still look back looking back at it, like that's still like a big thing for my resume and who I am as a videographer. Like in year 1, like I haven't even hit year 1 yet, and now I done worked for a college, for a pro league, and AAU team in 12 months. And
that's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Like looking back at it, like time moving fast. And then Miami Pro League, I was able to be in my element, like 100K views, 70K views. Shout out to Carla for getting me onto the Boss Like Creator Court, like 40K views, collab with Michael Beasley.
I was gonna ask about Michael Beasley.
What's up?
I saw that video.
Yeah, Michael Beasley, John Wall. John Wall followed me. Shout out to John Wall. Thank you for the follow. That means so much to me. And stuff like that. And
the part, actually, I was gonna save the part because I remember seeing those videos, and I think I reposted a few of them that you posted. Because like seeing you moving to that level, and like that's where I was looking at when I was asking about your business and like talking about your journey, getting to the point of like meeting John Wall or like even following you. Like, did you ever think like, okay, this is all that I wanted, this is all that I expected?
So like shout out to Quincy. I would never tell someone be a content creator, because like it seems easy, and it can be easy. Like it's easy to make a video. You put your phone on you make it, right? But you start getting depressed when you see your video only getting 10 views.
Exactly.
So now you're thinking like, dang, what am I doing this for? And like with me, like I only had like 1,000 followers, and then I'm like, bro, my videos aren't doing no numbers, and I'm like, bro, like, I'm about to put the camera down. You know. But shout out to Q. Q told me, he was like, man, all it takes is one view, one person, the right person to see it,
That's true.
and stuff like that. So at that point, I don't know, I just viewed things differently. And I started being more intentional with who I recorded, how I recorded them, and made sure that with this content, I was in my best self doing it. Like Michael Beasley's video is probably the video that it don't have the most views. It has like around 40-50K, but he collabed with me, and it was the first video that I made with my voice on it. You don't see a lot of, and I have to give myself flowers because I have to realize something, like, you can't just find a videographer who records, edits, and narrates his own video that fast and that efficiently. Like, you'll hear someone talking about something on their video, but you don't hear them narrating. Like, I'm not talking about Michael Beasley. I'm talking about heartbeats per second. I'm bringing some other information of research and putting it into a film and making it together to where it correlates and makes sense and tells a story. Like, I don't know, it's just different. And
that was dope. And like the things you've learned and the things you learn while you do this content, one of the things you touched on was like numbers. And it's the same thing with podcasts. Like, you do a good job, you buy the camera, you invest everything, and then when you put it out, people have like these many likes, many views. And actually, one buddy of mine just texted me yesterday, is like, hey, I appreciate you bringing these people to talk about their lives that we would never be in, to hear their stories, even if the world doesn't know them. And then on the bottom, he says, but I'm afraid that they don't bring numbers as the famous people, and that's going to make you quit. And I told him, no. If it was about quitting, I would have quit like the first year I started this podcast. But it's not about that. It's about me like sitting down here with you and just listening to that, because I'm the first person who hears your words and like impacting my life before I put it out to the other people in the world to say it. And for me, when I see that impact or I feel that impact, I'm sure like somebody out there, he's going to listen to it and it's going to do something to them. Sometimes you look at things like this. There are videos. There's a video I put out on Instagram. I think it's in like 300,000 views. It's about Kenyans being the most people who drink alcohol and stuff. And sometimes people like not serious stuff. But I feel like if 300,000 people could sit down on one of my videos and watch it, it means like I'm doing a good job. And even these videos that didn't get that video, I posted on the same platform, the same time. It's just people choose what they like and what they don't like, or like it is what it is. So for me, I just put it out there. Whoever watches it, it's gonna impact that person. Whoever doesn't watch it, it is what it is, and I just keep going.
Facts.
So yeah, that's what I like. I like about it, and I'm glad that you have the same impact. Can you talk about a project that really embodies the mission and the values of a Smallville? Smooth. I don't know why I call it Smallville. Like even with SmooveFilmz. And how did you get to that name, SmooveFilmz?
Oh, PlayStation. So my PlayStation name is D2 Smooth.
Okay.
And then I just embodied smooth. Yeah. And then I was like, Smooth shot it. No, SmooveFilmz. All right, cool. SmooveFilmz.
I've seen you do like even some few clips from the service at the River's Edge, like the church, people singing and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. Is it something that you feel like you want to do for the rest of your life now?
Yeah, so like the end goal is to either be super connected with NBA guys and tell their stories, or work for an NBA team, or just be a super high quality guy in like the Division I world. Like one of the three that pays good and I'm financially stable with it is fine by me. Like people tell me all the time, I tell myself like I'm on month 14 or something like that, month 15. So that's like a year and like 2-3 months. And like, but what I can do doesn't match how long I've been doing it for.
Right.
So like when I applied for things and stuff like that, and shout out to the Uber driver, I forgot his name. He told me this. He was like, companies want to see you do certain things for multiple years, like not just one. But for me, it's kind of inevitable because I've only been doing it for like a year.
Yeah.
But I've done so much in a year, and it's like when I show it on paper, it's like it doesn't even make to where they see what I'm doing because it looks like I'm a rookie.
Right.
Even though I kind of am because I'm still learning. I'm definitely still a student of the game. Like it's so much more to learn. But it's like it's kind of hard to get into certain things. So it's about connects. Like Team Breakdown was looking out for me, and I had to connect into a Long Island University to be like to work media there. Things that work out when it came to like logistics for me, and I chose not to do it. But if I wanted to go there today, I could, you know? So like, it's cool to know like I can be a Division I guy if I wanted to, but like, I'm not jumping to it yet because like all the knowledge is like probably just not specifically the best thing for me right now. Maybe next summer, the summer coming up, I might look into it more, and if things change, then yeah, I'll be in New York doing something or whatever opportunity may come my way. But that's just what it is now.
I appreciate that. I appreciate your journey. And when you talk about that, is like, sometimes like you might be like a fast learner, like something that takes somebody 3 years, you can get it down in 1 year. And it's really hard to explain to somebody like, okay, I can do this, but then your experience is just 1 year. And I remember that in my personal life because I was trying to get a job in Grand Rapids for the airplanes, and I had only been working like 2 years or something like that. And these guys were like, oh, we need somebody who's like 3 years of experience. I'm like, but how am I going to get that experience when you don't give me that opportunity or something like that? But sometimes some people just need to trust you, give you the opportunity. You do the best you can. And if they don't feel like you're giving them what they want, they can let you go. But I disagree with people who say no at the very beginning before even they give you that opportunity to show them what you can do. So I feel like if people give you that opportunity in the first place, and then you do your best, and then they can decide from there. Anyway, we've been here for a long time. We've touched on like your journey to Great Lakes, your mental health, and your company, your time playing basketball. There's one question that I forgot to ask at the very beginning.
For sure.
But I'm going to ask it now is, how did you find about Great Lakes? Because we've talked about Great Lakes a lot, and you were from Miami and you ended up in Michigan with a lot of snow. And I remember one of the things we talked about was you hated winter. But how did you come to Great Lakes?
In high school, I didn't get recruited. Wasn't that good enough. And then I played for this prep team that was connected to my A team named Team Pete. Shout out to Pete. And my guy Alex, who now plays for, I mentioned him earlier, went to Johnson, and he plays for Oak Hills Christian now. He told me about it through Twitter because they had just made it like a development team, and there was open recruiting and whatever like that. So then I was like, okay, and I just ended up going. I didn't care about how much debt I was going into. I didn't care about where it was at. It could have been in Mexico. Like I didn't care where it was at. Like it gave me the opportunity to get out the hood and just to experience new things and to play the game that I worked so hard in my younger years to play. So I ended up coming to Great Lakes, and he ended up leaving after the semester, and I ended up staying for 4 or 5 years.
Because I remember he played soccer for a little bit too. I remember he was there too when I was, I think, in my final year, because I remember Alex very well. But no, that's amazing. What is the one thing that you are thankful for from Great Lakes?
The one thing I'm thankful for
your time at Great Lakes.
From my time at Great Lakes, the one thing I'm thankful for, the people.
Yeah. Like
it's such a it's such a small community that can become very toxic. 1000%. I mean, like it can become very toxic. But when it comes to like who you become as a person, like it teaches you like to be yourself authentically. Like it's crazy. Like I'm gonna give a quick shout out to some people. Carrier, growing YouTuber. Dre, growing YouTuber. Carlo, Baller's Life. I'm probably missing some other people. Titus works for Oregon. Like me, Miami Pro League, director of content, could be a Division I guy if I wanted to. And Kes, head coach. Like, and other people who've done other things in their lives that I'm probably forgetting, but
Yeah.
you know I love y'all. Like, there's a light in that school, and you just gotta find it.
Right.
Like, you gotta ignore all the bad dinners and lunches and the classes you may don't think is necessary and stuff like that. But once you find that light, like, a lot of good people, yourself, like, what? Like, once you find that light, and a lot of great people come out of Great Lakes.
That's true. And I think everybody, all the people that have gone to Great Lakes that I've had on this podcast, have said the same thing. Like, the relationships that you get from there, like people who is still like you, J Queen, Terry, everybody, like, we still have that relationship, and nothing, you can put a price on the relationship of things you have with people. And I appreciate that. But anyway, we're coming close to the end of this podcast, but I have 3 questions that I ask people on this podcast before I let them go.
For sure.
What's a life lesson you've learned in life to this point?
Be okay with losing people, because I've used to beat myself up a lot, because, like, growing up, I was always a nice guy. Even to this day, I'm still a nice guy. So when the couple times in my past years when I was the villain in people's stories, I just couldn't handle it, which also played a role in my mental health. Because, like, my mom don't play that. Like, we don't be mean to people. We don't do that. But, you know, like, and I had to tell myself, like, bro, you're not perfect, bro. Like, you learn from that. Just don't do it again. And I haven't done it again. And yeah, that's probably that.
That's a good one. What gets you excited about life?
Every day I wake up and I pray and I be like, God, thank you for allowing me to have a chance to become more like Jesus.
That's good. That's a good one. The third one is a signature question for the podcast is who would you like to see on this podcast next? And you're going to help me to get that person here.
Next, probably Kes.
Kes, yeah.
Probably Kes. I feel like second year head coach from the inner city. A lot of people can relate to him. We got a big project coming up. Like, her and working on Unranked right now, dropping soon, trailer dropping soon. And I'm trying to put this on the map.
That's great. And actually, Kes, I had a class with him. Oh, what class was it? We were sitting in the back. I was sitting with him, and he was asking me questions. And he was like, I remember the first conversation I've ever had with him. And I enjoyed watching him play. He was really great. But yeah, I would love to sit down and have a conversation with him about his life. And it's a cool thing about this podcast is, like, you don't really have to know that person super well to have a conversation. The people that I posted on this podcast, some of them I've never even met them. I've never even had a conversation with them before they were on the podcast. So it's pretty cool to just come have a conversation, learn something new about another person's life. So I appreciate that. Is there anything else that I didn't ask you that you want to talk to the listeners or tell to the listeners?
I think I've touched everything.
You've touched everything. All right. That was it. That was Marie. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hey there. My name is Bonnie Chibuka, the podcast host of the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. Thanks for watching and listening to my podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe. Also, leave a feedback on this podcast, so that's how we grow. Thank you very much and be blessed.
What's up, world? My name is Mari. A lot of y'all know me as Smooth because of my business, SmooveFilmz, growing videographer and content creator. Man, thank you for bringing me on the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. We talked about mental health, the growth of my business, relations with people, and how to keep those relationships going on for as long as you can, putting your pride aside and stuff like that. So tune in for it coming soon. Appreciate y'all.